Hello, and bienvenidos to this episode of Voces, the official Hola at IBM podcast that brings our Hispanic and Latino communities of IBM together to share authentic, accessible, and informal conversations, amplifying critical leadership messages on culture, career, well-being, business, and technology. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast belong solely to those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of IBM.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Voces. For episode 10, I am your host, Clarissa Stam, a program manager and strategy consultant with IBM Consulting. In this episode, we celebrate our allyship with the Pan-Asian community for May Heritage Month, and most especially with my dearest friend and mentor of over 35 years, Evelyn Kim, who is an executive director for North America's digital technology and experience at Estee Lauder. Evelyn and I began our allyship journey in high school and continued as college roommates and through many, many life events. To celebrate a big milestone in our lives, Evelyn and I and a few other friends decided to take a trip to explore the vibrant country of Mexico. So you will see us together on location in the interview. Evelyn is a sister to me, and through our journey, we have learned to not only have appreciation of each other's cultures — Evelyn is Korean and I am Puerto Rican Peruvian — but gained an appreciation of the beauty that diversity can bring to a lifelong friendship and mentor. Enjoy the episode.
Hi, Ian.
Hi, Claudia.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Well, welcome to the 10th episode of Voces. This is where we highlight mixed audiences to our Latino culture at IBM. I wanted to introduce everybody to one of my dearest friends, Evelyn Kim. We are here in beautiful Tulum, Mexico, and we are on vacation. So we're here visiting for a little bit of time and celebrating a big milestone in our lives. So Evelyn, I wanted to bring you on to Voces as a woman leader in technology. And I wanted you to give me a little bit of insight about yourself, introduce yourself, tell us about your family, what do you do, what are your hobbies?
Okay. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for having me here. I feel so honored. A little bit about myself. Well, I currently work as an executive director for North America region in digital technology and experience team. It's the digital arm of Estee Lauder Companies. And what we primarily do is develop e-commerce sites for our portfolio brands. And we make sure that we are able to partner with our business stakeholders to ensure that we're able to appropriately market and support and create a really enriching digital experience for our customers. I have a small and mighty team of about 65 people in my group that I'm responsible for. And I've been with the company about 17 years. And even though it's been 17 years, in the process, I've had many jobs. So it doesn't feel like I've been in the same job for that long. In terms of my personal life, I am a mother of two boys. The oldest one is 11 years old, and the youngest is 8. And also mommy to a cat and a new puppy we just got a few weeks ago. And we also have 2 aquarium tanks at home. And my personal hobbies is yoga, photography, which I've been into since I was a little girl. And more recently, about a year ago, I've been into pottery. Nice. So I've been creating lots of little bowls and cups.
Yes, and I'm a recipient of one of those cups. So, Evelyn, as you talked a little bit about photography, so I'm going to take this a little bit off. We went to college together. We studied at NYU, totally different schools as part of being at NYU. But you started as a film major.
That's right. So when I first entered into college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I really had no clue. So I started in the College of Arts and Science. Um, and while there, I came to learn that NYU had a fantastic film and TV program. So I decided to marry my personal passion with something that I can pursue in my career. So I switched over to the Tisch School of Arts, where I pursued um, learning everything that I can about filmmaking and television. And it was a fantastic journey.
So how did you get from working in television to now Estee Lauder in the digital experience?
So while in college, I've also held many jobs. One of the jobs that I held was in the library. And within the library, on the lower floor, there was a computer lab where students came in, they wrote their papers, folks worked on their resumes, they printed, they did a lot of different things. And in the process, I came to really learn about computers, printing, digital technology. Um, and so the first company that I joined, Broadway Video, when they acquired a small software company, I switched over to join them. And at the time, I joined as an office manager. And then when the need came in, I pursued project management. So it was a great way to kind of marry what I studied in school with something that I knew was going to be a growing trend in technology. So that was my initial entry point into software development.
Gotcha. Okay. So let me switch a little bit to, obviously, we're both females in the tech industry. How easy was it for you to switch into that industry? And what kind of obstacles did you find as a woman, as a female, and as a minority figure?
So I think I've been really blessed with having great managers and mentors and colleagues who really took the time to answer all of my questions. I had a lot of questions about what this meant and that meant and how do they come together. And I'm really thankful for the people that I worked with and connected with because they really took the time to help me. Um, One of the challenges that I had was that um, my name was not Evelyn when I was born. I had a different birth name, and my name was not exactly easy to pronounce. So I think in some ways I felt like that was a hindrance to my career development. And so after a few years of working and dealing with challenges of folks trying to pronounce my name and um, include me in conversations and call me in conversations, I decided to change it. Yeah.
So by you changing it, did you feel that you were losing a little bit of your identity? Or
No, I didn't because I did kept part of my birth name as my middle name. So I felt like I always had that with me. But professionally, people knew me by Evelyn, and it was much easier for them to um, call me.
right, right. But now you were born in Korea, but you grew up in the States.
That's right.
So just like, well, I was born in the States, but my parents are of mixed heritage. So was it difficult navigating school? I'm sure with your name, that was a hindrance, but was it difficult navigating school? We both went to an all-girl Catholic school in Brooklyn, New York. So that was tough being in that environment. And then switching over to college where it was a lot more diverse and more inclusive of different cultures, different backgrounds. That must have been really more welcoming.
Oh, it was exciting. And I specifically chose NYU for its diversity. I remember that when I was researching different colleges and universities that I would apply for, one of the things that I considered is how many international students, what is the makeup of the student body. And I knew that NYU being in the center of Manhattan, center of New York, that already the place was rich with so many different cultures. And so when I got accepted, I was super thrilled. And when I found out that you got accepted, that just made it even better. But yeah, I think I just naturally gravitate towards wanting to learn about different cultures and experiences. And I think it's amazing how different cultures, there are similarities. And the history, there is repetitiveness, and there are a lot of things that I think are similar rather than different.
So let me switch over to now where we are here today. We're in Tulum, Mexico. Beautiful country, beautiful state. What are you connecting with here on this trip? We did a cooking class. We went to
The food.
yeah.
The food, and I love the spiciness of the food from Korea. I mean, chili is a main part of the ingredient in Korean cooking. And the fact that in Mexico, there's so many different varieties of chili that is used to enhance and flavor the food is definitely a major draw. And I love that they use all of the fruits and vegetables and materials that are from the land here to create such diverse flavors.
Yeah.
It all comes together in a nice big melding pot.
So let's talk about allyship and friendship. I'm going to switch a little bit. And this kind of blends into your work life, or your personal friendship. How is that diversity? Why, or I should say, how is that diversity so important to you in building your team, in building your friendships? Why do you care about that so much?
I care about it because I feel that even though we're all from different walks of life and different places, that we're all human. And as humans, we are part of a group, part of a community, and that's what keeps us together. And the fact that folks are from different cultures and different experiences, I think that also brings a lot of richness to the conversation, to the ideas that are being exchanged at the table, to the questions that are being brought. And I feel like at the end, you come up with a far better product or experience than if everyone were of the same mindset.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful way of thinking of that. It's like bringing all the different colors of the rainbow put together.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about advice. What will you tell yourself, your younger version of yourself, if you were to be talking to them right now?
I would say be more confident in my ability, be more confident in sharing my thoughts and ideas and opinions. In the beginning, I think I was very shy and I held back. I didn't raise my hand. I didn't speak up. And as a result, it took a while for folks to know that I was there and who I am and what I'm capable of. And I know that I'm capable of a lot of things, that I can rise to the challenge. So going back, I would say be more confident.
Yeah, I think a lot of young people do struggle with confidence in the sense that, they don't know what is the unknown, right? And they're trying to navigate those waters.
Yeah.
So confidence, I think, is key. I agree with you. But you also touched on a point earlier about that networking, that mentoring, where you're not confident. You can speak to those mentors and they kind of bring that out of you too, right? So let me ask you a little bit about challenges that you see as a leader in yourself. Have you ever run into an obstacle where you kind of said, okay, let me go back and fix that about myself? Or let's bring it back to just general mistakes that leaders make. Have you ever run into a situation where you're like, okay, this is happening very consistently among other leaders that you think should be something that we should correct?
Yeah, I think the key is really communication.
Okay.
And we communicate daily, but knowing how to communicate well and how to communicate effectively, positively, is an important matter. And part of communication is not only speaking, but it's also listening. And it's being aware of what people are thinking, what's running through their minds, what motivates them, and being just in tune to that so that you could make sure that where you're headed with the discussions that you're having, whether it's one-on-one or one-to-many, that you have a goal in mind, but you're also being considerate of the opinions and the pace. Some folks need time to kind of digest and reflect, whereas some folks are in the moment and they can make a quick decision. And that my style is not necessarily the style of others.
Have you ever run into an example where you had a ineffective communication that led to a problem?
Absolutely. So in my role, I do have an opportunity to work with folks from many different countries. So the way that folks communicate, let's say my colleagues in Germany, are very different from my colleagues in Japan.
Gotcha.
So at times you can be really direct and speak your mind. But when I'm engaging with my colleagues in Japan, I do have to be really thoughtful about how I come across,
Right.
and giving them a little extra time to consider, and that what they might say may not be the same meaning as if I were to say the same thing.
Right.
So there have been many times when, we walk away from a discussion thinking we're on the same page, only to find out later on, oh no, they were just acknowledging what was said, but not necessarily agreeing with what was said. So that did sometimes led to misunderstanding that we had to correct.
Yeah. And then there's also the challenge of the language, like you said, the pace.
Yeah.
Some countries are a little bit more fast paced, some are a little, on the slower, relaxed type of pace. And the style that you communicate, to them is really key and critical to making sure that everyone is on the same page and that one person or one group is a little bit behind versus another group. Okay? So you have to take into consideration all of those factors and not just think very blindly like I've said this statement and this is how it should be relayed.
Yeah, I think the more important thing is to not just think about what you want to say and the message that you want to come across to others, but also think about how it will be perceived and understood.
Yeah, that's key and critical. So let me ask you, aside from that, when you as you're going down this leadership path, do you feel that as a woman you have any additional challenges and obstacles that you will be facing?
I don't. I've been really fortunate in joining a company that was founded by a woman, where the majority of the workplace is women, where women also makes the majority of the leadership and executives. So there is a lot of women representation. Even in my department alone, where it's very technical, there's a great presence and number of the workplace that are of women. So that to me is not necessarily a hindrance, and I think it's a very positive thing. We sell to women. Our customers are majority women. So I do feel like I found a perfect place to be in. So I don't necessarily feel that my success is really being hindered by my gender.
Okay. That's amazing that you have that culture already still in the company. Yeah. We definitely need a lot more women leaders out there.
Yeah.
So that's inspiring. That's great. All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to talk a little bit about Tulum? I mean, we're here for probably the next day or so. I feel like there are moments in your life that really define, how you live it. Mm-hmm. And there are memories that you create. And the memories that I've created here with you and other friends who've joined us, it's really special. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for joining us on this episode of Voices. I am so happy that you're here and that you've approved this message here. But again, I'm glad that you're here. And thank you to everyone listening. And if you want to learn a little bit more about Ian, we will put a link to her LinkedIn on the bottom of this podcast. And have a wonderful day. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Voices. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube and Spotify channels. You can find us as Voices so you don't miss any new episodes.